Yo, I'm Bob, totally blind since birth, into Power Rangers, got the Shout Factory box set yet again, talking about Season 2, Episode 67, or Episode 7 of Season 2 overall. This one's The Green Dream, and it premiered on September 19th in 1994. I wouldn't see this one when it first premiered. I got home from school every day at around 5:30, so I missed this one. But I remember kids talking about it the following couple days because it really resonated with a lot of them. Definitely resonated with me when I would catch it during reruns. Everybody kept talking about RoboGoat, and I kept wondering, who the heck is this guy? Everybody wanted to be RoboGoat while playing Power Rangers on the playground, and I was like, who is this guy? Apparently it made the teachers laugh, too. They had no idea what a RoboGoat was, but apparently they got a kick out of that name, too. So in this episode, Tommy's having a recurring dream in which he loses his powers. He's zoning out. He does pay attention to the fact that he has to write a 500-word essay in Miss Appleby's class. And she kind of singles Bulk and Skull out, lets them know, yes, the essay is due this Friday, boys. And so they're freaking out because they have no idea what to write about. They haven't even started yet. Bulk says they're going to write about the secret identities of the Power Rangers. And I think they'll probably have a pretty good deal to write about. They've done all kinds of stuff in order to ferret out the Rangers, even though they haven't been successful. They could write a 1,000-word essay, maybe a 2,000-word essay by this point. So that's going on. Tommy, he's kind of zoned after class. Kimberly has to call his name a couple times before he realizes she's there. And he lets her know that he's having that dream again. She knows what he's talking about, I'm guessing, because he's probably confided quite a bit in her when it comes to this dream. And he tells her he feels like this is a message that he's at the end of his power cycle. He doesn't say, I'm nearing the end, I'm getting pretty close to the end. He says, I'm at the end of my power cycle. So that's why I chose to watch this right before the Big Green No More two-parter. Although I've always watched it before Song of Guitardo. If you watch it that way, going into Green No More right on the heels of Song of Guitardo, Tommy's got a little bit of hope to carry into that big final battle as the Green Ranger with him. Although if you watch it like this, right before the Big Green No More two-parter, man, it is quite a darker experience, I think. Quite a sadder experience. But I like it. I'm not sure which way I like watching them yet. But yeah, it's been interesting watching it like this. So on the moon, Lord Zed's planning to steal the Sword of Power. He's planning on turning Tommy's dream into a real nightmare. And he's going to brainwash Tommy when he captures him. And he's going to have Tommy bring the sword to him. When I first watched this episode in reruns, I thought I missed an episode. I had no idea what the Sword of Power was. I thought, gee, was there a big 2-part introductory episode to this sword? Was it a big 3-parter that I missed? Because they'd never talked about the sword before. And I think I read somewhere in some article or another a couple years ago that in a rough draft or some kind of draft of this script that it was mentioned that the Sword of Darkness was reforged into the Sword of Power. It would have been cool to have gotten that line or, seen that happen in a pretty epic 2 or maybe a 3-part episode. I think it would have been cool, but this is the first time we hear about the Sword of Power. Zed wants it to steal the Power Rangers' powers. I guess it can do that. So yeah, Goldar is getting preparations made. Bulk and Skull, their plans to determine the identities of the Rangers, they're foiled again by Billy's scrambler device. They're led to Ernie. He does a Kia, and Ernie is not the Ranger they're looking for. That was a pretty cool scene. And I like that they put this humorous scene early on in the episode because, man, this one's pretty deep and dark, I think. So Tommy's alone in the park. Lord Zed sends some putties down. He's making short work of him. And then I think a couple more sneak up behind him. They grab him, take him to the Dark Dimension. There's Goldar. And Goldar's got Zed's staff from what I remember my brother telling me years ago. We actually had a lot of these Season 2 episodes taped off a TV by our grandpa. He did that one summer. That's how we got a lot of our Season 2 episodes that we could watch over and over and over again. We drove our parents nuts with these two. So yeah, I remember my brother being like, oh, that's really cool. Goldar's getting to borrow Zed's staff for a little bit. So yeah, Tommy's brainwashed yet again. He is told to go steal the sword and bring it back. to Goldar. And I like this one line from Goldar as they're back in the Dark Dimension. Goldar says, "Seems like old times, doesn't it, Green Ranger?" Now, it's of course a callback to Green with Evil from Season 1, that 5-parter, as well as the Green Candle. Goldar just loves Tommy being either brainwashed or on the ropes. I think Goldar, he did kind of like working with Tommy when he was evil. I mean, he probably wouldn't admit it, but he kind of likes having a capable warrior to fight alongside, since we don't see Scorpina in Season 2. So yeah, Tommy is, unbeknownst to the others, brainwashed and evil again. They go to the command center because Zed just created the Robo-Goat. Goldar submitted that image from Tommy's library book about mythology to Zed. So Zed made the Robo-Goat monster, and yes, I wish Hasbro would make that in the Lightning Collection. He is one of the coolest monsters from Season 2. So the Bandai version, I think he did have the Rod of Destruction, although it might have been a bit different from the show. In the show, the Rod, I'm not sure whether or not it had these big spikes on the end of it, but the Rod of Destruction, or at least what I thought was the Rod of Destruction on the old action figure, that had these big massive spikes on the end of it. And he also came with a shield. I doubt he used the shield in the show, but I always loved that they gave him a shield for some reason. So yeah, the Rangers are given the 411 by Zordon about the monster. Tommy convinces them to call up the Sword of Power to give him an extra bit of energy in the fight, because they don't want him morphing at all by this point. He is really running low on power. Jason and the others want him to reserve his powers for a bigger battle later on, but he does convince them to summon the sword. They all do that, and then he starts laughing maniacally, and I guess he tries to swing it at them, and then he just, takes it to Goldar. And rather than keeping Tommy on the side of evil, they free him, which I think it's a really sadistic form of torture. Because if you watch this episode after the Invincible Flytrap episode, Welcome to Venus Island, Tommy was afraid that he would be brainwashed again. He was afraid that he would hurt his teammates. And I like that Goldar actually uses him to get what he wants. Then he's like, okay, now you're free. Hey, how do you feel now? You stole the sword, and now we have the means to steal all your powers and destroy you. Ha ha. So, yeah, things aren't looking too good. Robo-Goat shows up there. Tommy's got to morph into action. And it's a very fierce fight there for Tommy, because Robo-Goat's got that sword, and Tommy's on the ropes. It's, I don't even think it's a close fight, but all these explosions are going off and Robo-Goat's sneaking up on him. I'm not sure if they put, mines down or some kind of bombs. I'm betting Robo-Goat launched some kind of off-screen attack. And Tommy is eventually knocked down, and his powers just start fading pretty soon into the fight. The other Rangers, they got to morph into action too. They're separated from Tommy. They're all fighting Robo-Goat. He captures 4 of the Rangers. Jason's the only one left. And so it's Power Sword versus Sword of Power, which is kind of funny. Of course, Zordon eventually does manage to teleport it back to the command center. And the other Rangers are freed from Robo-Goat's, well, he calls them energy bubbles. And he grows, the Thunder Zords are summoned. I think it's a pretty interesting fight. He's still got the Rod of Destruction as a giant. And so let's see, when it comes to accessories and effect pieces, while I'm thinking of Robo-Goat, if he was ever in the Lightning Collection, I think he did fire lightning from, was it his horns, maybe his hands? So he'd come with a couple of effect pieces. Of course, you got to give him the Rod of Destruction. And I think the Sword of Power would also make a more phenomenal, I was going to say regular phenomenal accessory, but a more phenomenal accessory, because I don't think we have that yet. We just have the Sword of Darkness. So yeah, Sword of Power would be cool to include with the monster. Trip him out with all kinds of stuff. Anyway, you know how the big Zord battles go. Tommy, he actually tries summoning the Dragon Zord, but Dragon Zord ain't coming today. So if you watch this right after the Song of Gotardo episode, it does make sense as to why Dragon Zord wouldn't show up, because Kimberly and Tommy, they would have used the dragon dagger with the power bow, and I'm guessing that might have sapped the dagger of some of its energies. So yeah, Dragon Zord's not coming. Thunder Megazord is by himself, and but the Rangers do manage to vanquish RoboGoat with the Thunder Saber Slash, and so that's all. That's all for RoboGoat. But we'll see him again in a special 3-parter, quite a bit down the road in season 2. And I love Lord Zed here at the end of the episode. He is. He's mad at his underlings, but at the same time he says, well, it's not a total loss because the Green Ranger's powers are a very short story indeed, and the final chapter is still being written. So he's mad at him. He tells Goldar, yeah, I had to clip your wings, and you too. He's talking to Squat and Babu. He says, I had to clip your ears and throw you in the trash with Rita. And I love Babu. He's like, well, we didn't do anything. What did we do, man? So the ending of the episode, man, it's one of my favorites because the guys, they're all happy-go-lucky, and they're glad that they won. But at the very end, Tommy's just not, he's not able to be happy-go-lucky with them. I think one of my favorite lines of the episode is, I'm at the end, guys. He lets them know that I think this time it's for good. And Jason's like, oh, don't talk that way, man. You'll be all right. You came back before trying to be all optimistic. And this is why I put this episode at the end of the arc, why I chose to watch it at the end of the arc, because Tommy says, well, Lord Zed's had it in for me ever since the beginning, and now he's closing in. And, we're left with this very melancholy piano music, and nobody has a response to this. And it's just a really cool episode. One of the darkest, I think, from season 2. As for episode order, I don't know. I might watch it before Song of Guitardo next time. But I'm going to see how it feels watching this right before Green No More this time. So yeah, next time we're going to be talking about Green No More Part 1 of 2. One of my all-time favorite 2-parters from season 2. Be here for that. May the power protect you, and I'll hear you next time.